Greetings and welcome to my home. I have brought you here to sit, to have a conversation, but you are expected to not wear out your welcome. You are expected to treat my domain with kindness. You are expected to be good guests. So, with that being said, enter freely. And when you leave, I pray that you leave a portion of the happiness that you bring. As tonight we are going to have a little conversation. Something that I think that most people in these modern times don't fully understand how things work. Greetings, kindred. I am voivodemekhet, and welcome to our world of darkness and a clan discussion. We haven't had one of those in a very, very long time. This has actually was brought to me by a person who's asking for advice on a character they're playing. Um, Unfortunately, I can't give you their name because it was written in a language that I don't know, and translating it on the platform that we were discussing it on just does not happen. So, today we are here to talk about the old clan Tzimisce, the Voivodes, the Dragons, the old world clan Tzimisce. There's a lot of monikers for them, and they're not viewed very differently from their younger counterparts because they don't show up very often. They're a very rare breed. And V20, the 20th anniversary of Vampire the Masquerade, did a damn good job trying to bring them in by having them be interested in joining the Camarilla. Possibly, they were in the storyline for V20. They were auditing. They were auditing the Camarilla to see if they were worth joining, and they did introduce a new bloodline that was the younger version of the old clan Tzimisce, I guess, like the old new clan Tzimisce, who practiced Protean instead of vicissitude. They had auspex, animalism, and dominate just like a standard old clan Tzimisce would, except they also could learn like the first two levels of Protean at in-clan cost. It was there were some rules to it. I appreciated it very much. They called them the Carpathian Tzimisce. But as much as I love Clan Tzimisce, I do have to admit that old Clan Tzimisce is just that much more attractive to me. I do enjoy the vicissitudes and the flesh crafting and the bone crafting and stuff. It's terrifying. I really like how dirty that discipline can be, but I love the social acumen of a good old clan Tzimisce. I love the nobility, the aristocrat behavior of old clan, and it's something that I think has been lost in the last few editions of Vampire the Masquerade, primarily because they changed some plot lines around. There were some retcons in the old days. For those of you who are new to Vampire and don't know all of it, they used to say that vicissitude was a disease, that it was an interdimensional parasite that got into the blood and changed things. Effectively saying that anything that had vicissitude was infected with a fomori, that they were fomori, and that they were infected by banes. They said that an elder Tzimisce had gone an interdimensional traveling through the Umbra, and ended up getting infected by a test subject that it was studying, and it brought back vicissitude, which quickly spread throughout the clan. And there was a faction of the Tzimisce called the Old Clan Tzimisce who were trying to do anything they possibly could to stop this from happening, this alien infection. Um, it was called the Shadow Crusade, and it's one of the things that the Black Hand, not the Manus Nigrum, not the Sword of Cain's special services, but the actual Black Hand, which was an organization originally found by mages, but then overcome by kindred existence. It was the old clan Tzimisce, the Nagaraja, and the True Bruja, as well as their underlings. But that was the main clan, and they lived in Enoch in the Shadowlands, and in like a shadow version of Enoch, which is why I've chosen the background that I have today, because I thought that was fun and gauzy. Um, but they were eventually retconned out as to saying, no, it's just a discipline. Vicissitude's not an infection. But what they had done was basically say that within Old Clan Tzimisce, which was just a group of vampires at this point who did not want to practice vicissitude because they found it rude and disgusting and below them. They just thought they were better than it. Um, they basically said that there was a small group, a small faction called the Lunatic Faction of Old Clan Tzimisce who were spreading this lie that it was an infection from the Umbra, and that they were forcing younger members of the Black Hand to participate in this thing called the Shadow Crusade, which was them running around killing Tzimisce and anything with transformative powers caused by Banes or anything like that, and blaming it on vicissitude, basically saying they were trying to clean the world. I think he even said that black spiral dancers were just werewolves that were infected with vicissitude and stuff. It was a fun thing where they didn't just say it didn't happen; they gave another reason, which I greatly appreciate. But there are big differences that should be discussed between Tzimisce and Old Clan Tzimisce. And they're almost completely different clans that just have a common ancestry at this point. The Sabbat has definitely changed the Tzimisce into the monsters in the night, being able to transform into these gigantic eldritch creatures and create things out of flesh and blood that make them a terror in war. But the old clan Tzimisce are honorable, and they don't want to be involved with the Sabbat. A lot of them are members of the Sabbat, or at least were members of the Sabbat back when the Sabbat was what it was before 5th edition, due to the fact that they just didn't want to fight with them. They knew that if they just let the Sabbat do what they were going to do, and every once in a while say, yes, my Archbishop, or some other crap like that, that for the most part, the Sabbat would just leave them alone. They liked the idea that they had their holdings, and that's all the Sabbat wanted, was just to go, oh, well, this portion of the Carpathian Mountains belongs to us. Where the Tzimisce would just be like, whatever. They can think what they want. It does not matter because they barely ever come here. And most of them know for a fact that you don't stay in the Tzimisce's domain long enough to become annoying. So, what can you say about the old clan Tzimisce? Like, if you had to describe them in just words, they're terrifying. They are brutal. They're vicious. They're evil. They're transcendently morbid. And they're trustworthy. And they're loyal. And they're honorable. They don't lie. When they tell you they're going to do something, they're going to do it. When you have sanctuary in their homes, they give it to you. And it's not because lying is beneath them, but because truth is verification of a threat. If they've done everything that they've ever said that they were going to do, and then they threaten you, then you know that they're going to do it. You know for a fact that they do not fear living up to what they've said. It's also about self-respect. They don't care about other Cainites. They don't care about the other members of their clan for the most part, unless they're part of their specific bloodline. But respect for yourself means that you're going to keep your word. That means that you are going to be respectful for yourself, not to look like a fool in front of other people. So they only promise things that they know for a fact that they are going to be able to pull through with. As I was saying before, the old clan Tzimisce practice auspex, they practice animalism, and they practice dominate. They have classically in every edition that they've ever appeared in. They'll also practice Khaldunic sorcery from time to time. But a lot of people who I've spoken to about this subject since 5th edition came out, they're like, how do you do that kind of thing? Well, first off, you just don't worry about Protean at all. When you build your character, you should probably look into possibly the Cleaver Predator type, which says that you have a strict group of people that are yours that you feed from. Doesn't that just sound Tzimisce? These are mine. This is my horde of individuals, my herd. They do as I say, when I say it. They are my family. No one else is to touch them. That is a dragon. The Cleaver, I understand that it's meant to be a joke with the whole Ward Cleaver, Leave It to Beaver, like, this is the family man kind of thing. And the Camarilla does not like it because it's a huge masquerade breach. The Tzimisce don't care about your masquerade. They care about domain. Domain is massively important to them. They care about hospitality. Hospitality is massively important to them. But if you're building a character and you want it to be an old clan Tzimisce, and I don't typically do this kind of thing. I don't do the how to play a character because that's 100% up to the player. You are, especially in 5th edition, free to choose however you want to build it. If you're building a Toreador that's not an artist, you can do that. If you're building a Brujah that's not a rebel, you can do that. But when your character starts suffering from compulsions, that's when their antediluvian starts weaseling into their blood and takes over. That's when you know that you have no choice how you act in the matter. So I don't care. I don't care if you decide to play a financially irresponsible Ventrue. I don't care if you play a non-magical Tremere. It doesn't matter. But the old clan Tzimisce are who they are. You can play a Tzimisce any way you want. Not going to stop you from doing that. But the old clan, that's different. They're alien. They're not the same. They are, at minimum, 500 years old. I'm sure there's younger ones out there, but the ones that you're going to meet the most are going to be at minimum. They actually still consider those 500-year-old vampires neonates or fledglings. Because unlike many other clans who do it for a variety of reasons, an old clan Tzimisce is going to embrace most of the time out of love. They will become infatuated with a prospective child. They will want to groom them. They will want to give them everything. They will want to keep them close. They want to pet them in affection. They want to shield them from the world, but they also want to teach them. Because when that child goes out and does its own thing, whether it's a century from now or 5 centuries from now, they don't want that child to embarrass them. They don't want that child to make a stain on the reputation of Clan Tzimisce, specifically old Clan Tzimisce. The younger ones, the younger Tzimisce don't care. They're, in the eyes of the old clan, they are just caitiff who claim the name. Old Clan Tzimisce are noble. Old Clan Tzimisce are going to be in their towers, and they are going to find a way to rule the way that they did 1,000 years ago. They are the stereotypical nobleman vampires who keep their mansions, who keep their castles, who order their retainers around to do this and that, who have a ridiculously high grasping concept of what power truly means. And that's something that I think Old Clan Tzimisce, for the most part, should be left to NPCs or SPCs, however you want to call it, but they should not be played for player characters unless there's a special circumstance. Now, the person who reached out and said, hey, can you tell me how to play an Old Clan Tzimisce, is in a situation where they have been forced out of their home and are now being forced to interact with younger kindred. That's fun. That's fun. I don't know how exactly they're doing the mechanics of blood potency or anything like that. It really doesn't matter. There's so many different ways around it. First off, generation does not necessarily span in the sea of time way that it says in the book. You could have a 13th generation vampire 1,000 years ago. It's all about how many times somebody embraced or maybe possibly doing an experiment of some kind. So that doesn't really ever bother me. As far as blood potency being incredibly low, you can buy it up, but that's playing a very slow game at that point because you're not really going to be able to be able to afford most other things. Considering the fact that blood potency is like 10 XP, starting XP per point. But there's always torpor. There's always to be able to go, oh, I became weary with the night and I needed to rest. And now I'm ready to experience this new world. And he actually leaves his home, which is a rarity as well. But the Old Clan Tzimisce are definitely not your typical fiends that are going to be running around making threats that they're not going to keep. Running around, digging their fingers into other people's skin. That's just rude. That's not fit for somebody as noble as an Old Clan Tzimisce. They are knights. They are lords of the manor. And they are frightening. They will dominate. They will dominate anything and everyone that they come across if need be. They'll give them the chance to comply. But if they even find one hint of lack of capability, they will fix the problem. When you look at the disciplines, and I know I'm just jumping back and forth, but this is really very much of a TLDR kind of situation when it comes to this clan, my favorite of clans. When you look at their disciplines, they have animalism, which they use to hold dominion, to dominate animals. When you look at auspex, they use that to dominate their lands, their domain. And when you look at dominate, they use it to dominate humans and even lesser Cainites. All of their disciplines completely are wrapped around the concept of dominating those who are beneath you, which is pretty much everybody in the eyes of the Old Clan Tzimisce. And they truly are, to steal the moniker of Clan Ventru from the Requiem system, they are truly the masters of beasts and men. You can do some really disgusting, very disturbing things with animalism. You can do some very incredible things with auspex and with dominate. And you can just avoid... If you want to just stick with the standard stuff, not take cleaver, not put yourself in the auspex, you take protean. Take protean. They would definitely use protean. And there's actually a higher level that it very much imitates the way of spirit in the old system for Khaldunic sorcery, where they would melt into the ground and just know everything that happens around them for miles, to be able to experience sensations from anything for miles. I also highly suggest, if anybody is interested in playing Old Clan Tzimisce in any way, and if a storyteller is actually going to allow you to do that, take a look at Blood Sigils, because the Khaldunic sorcery in that book is written beautifully. I love the idea that you have a tutor. You have someone who's given you what they call an initiation scar. They caused you severe aggravated damage when they taught you how to learn Kaldunic sorcery. And every time you have to utilize it, you have to reopen that scar. And I love it. It's very Tzimisce, it's very brutal. And the idea of taking damage, giving damage to yourself to affect the means of your surroundings is just it's very interesting. It's definitely not something that I suggest in real life, but it does add to the story, especially when you're talking about something so archaic that it's barely human anymore, such as an old clan Tzimisce. But to play old clan Tzimisce, it's really it is something that you need to consider. So I don't want this video to be long and overbearing. I don't want people to sit here for an hour and just listen to me gush about my favorite clan. I really do love Clan Tzimisce, specifically the old Clan Tzimisce. It doesn't matter about disciplines. It matters about power and control and keeping those things that you cherish in your possession. I do believe that the new Tzimisce Bane works very well for Old Clan. However, the alternate Bane, where you do not enter unless you've been invited, also fits the self-respect aspect of Clan Tzimisce. The compulsions of needing to collect, needing to own, fit this very, very well. So I would actually have to say that there's more of factions of Clan Tzimisce. Maybe they're not completely different because they do have access to the things that the other Tzimisce have. They just don't take it because they have respect for themselves. If you have a thought on this subject, I would like you to make a comment in the description. Be my guest and respect my hospitality and put a comment in the description. Also, if you have a thought on other clans that you think don't fit the mold for V5, that they're 100% playable, but have their own mentality, that it's not just we run off and do whatever we want, and it's created a schism in the clan, perhaps, if that does happen, let me know in the comments below. Please like, share, all that junk, all the normal YouTube stuff. But this video was fun to make because I just like talking about Clan Tzimisce, specifically the old ones. And I would like to do more of these things. Now I just want to find somebody who will let me play an old Clan Tzimisce in their game. Anyway, I don't care about blood. I don't care about blood potency or generation either. I will find a way to make it work for the story. But I am voivodemekhet. And this is my domain, the Our World of Darkness YouTube channel. And I welcome you with an open heart to come and enjoy. And where most old Clan Tzimisce only wish for you to stay a total of 3 nights, and then you are expected to vacate if you wish to stay in the good graces of the old clan. I am offering you permanent domain as long as you respect my channel and you respect those within it. And with that, please remember that this is our world of darkness. And perhaps we shall see each other again within these halls. Good evening.